Hello and welcome to the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nothing. You join me, Chuck Bailey, as we venture further into our pre-season preview podcasts. That's a lovely tongue twister there for you. And moving today on to Tottenham Hotspur. Lots going on in Tottenham this season and last season, to be fair. And of course, I couldn't do this without none other than repeat guests on now for, I believe it's the second time. He's on his way to a hat-trick, nailing a brace here. Mr. Jeffrey Pedder. Jeff, how are you?
I am very well indeed, yeah. Thank you for having me back on. Obviously, the first appearance wasn't completely awful, so yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, everyone so far, no pressure. You know, we had repeat guest or recurring character Nick, really upset by how good quality his Liverpool pod was with Oscar. Tom Townley had a marvellous time. Andy Penn praise. And, I mean, by the time this comes out, the Saphira Gold and Matthew Gold Fulham podcast will be out as well. So lots going on. But, you know, you're still early enough in that there's not too much pressure on you, mate. You know, but you've done this before. You've been here. Of course, we're here to talk about Tottenham today. So, as with all of these pods, start off, what is your link to Tottenham? Why Tottenham? Why all these years? Or how long have you been supporting them?
Yeah, I was trying to think about this earlier on when you mentioned it. There's not really any strong links for me. I'd say it was kind of late 80s, basically around, and I'd say it was more player than club.
Okay.
Kind of related. It was when you had kind of Waddle, Lineker, who was probably my favourite player when I was kind of a kid, and then a couple of years of Gaza, and it was just they were just a really exciting team to watch. Gascoigne especially was just like insane, and as
phenomenal
as an influence. When I was 8, 9. That was huge. And my dad always followed them, Tottenham, but not kind of religiously. But he kind of had a soft spot for them from watching them in the 60s with Greaves and whatnot. So yeah, that's the earliest kind of memory I've got of them, really.
Okay, and then were you kind of going to games with your old man, or were you more of a TV or just following it on a weekend kind of thing?
Again, probably kind of went through spells. Went with my dad a bit when I was a teenager, and then going into kind of late teens, early 20s, I had a season ticket for 5 seasons, I think it was, maybe 6, which eventually I had to give up just because of life commitments and money and all that sort of stuff. But my mate that I went with still goes now, so he's had his for probably 20 years. Or near about. So yeah, it was good times. I mean, the football wasn't always great when I was going, but I mean, we had some good times. I was going quite a lot when Hoddle was manager. That was fun times, just because of his links to the club. But yeah, I mean, I watched some real dross at the same time.
Yeah, there was
in that era
some turgid. There's definitely Spurs, new or younger Spurs fans have definitely been spoiled. I mean, the fact that you have comprehensively for a decent few years been better than Arsenal as well definitely helps.
Yeah, and that was one thing that we'd never had. I mean, I was there the day that Arsenal won the league at the Lane, and that was just that was pretty horrible. It's one of them awful memories that, of all the things I can't remember in my life, like that's one of the things I can remember. I'm like, why? Why is that stuck in there?
Yeah, it never leaves you those horrible memories. But let's not talk about that. Well, I guess some of last season probably was horrible for you. Obviously, it's been a bit of a running theme, I think, with these pods, with Newcastle, big overhauls, Chelsea, big overhauls. Tottenham, I'd say, as well, had a big overhaul, obviously, with director of sport, manager changes, that kind of thing. So what were your kind of thoughts going into last season up until kind of, and including Conte, really?
Well, at the beginning of the season, it was just a bit of a shambles. Like we had, I was so happy we got rid of Mourinho in the back part of the previous season.
I forgot there was Mourinho. Jesus.
Yeah, so it was still like, oh God, he was he's the last thing that we had. And then Paratici came in the summer, I think quite early in the summer. So there was then a bit of optimism that, okay, who's he gonna bring with him? And there were various rumours of reasonably unrealistic targets. And then all of a sudden, pretty close to the start of the season, Nuno comes in, and it probably it wasn't really the manager that I think
it wasn't as
expecting
attractive as the other names, really, was it?
It was not, but I think most of the fan base were like, all right, we'll get behind him and give him a chance. But I think it was evident pretty early on that it just wasn't going to work out.
Early fixtures really masked that, didn't they? Because you won the first 3 games, I think, and you kept clean sheets in all of them. You were top, and Arsenal were 20th.
Yeah, I think we won all 3. I think the first 3 games we won 1-0, but it's one of those. If you watch the games, it wasn't good. they might have been wins, but the results were hiding all sorts of terribleness. And I think by the time he did go, it was he was only in like 15 games, 17 games, something like that.
10
and all
10 games he got. I realised
was that league. It must have been league games. I think he had late teens total, but even that was too much. And we didn't score goals. Didn't look like scoring. Didn't really look like keeping it tight at the back. It wasn't fun to watch. It was like a Mourinho team, but with where the manager's like a nice guy.
Right. Okay. So you were kind of a fan enough of Nuno as a person, but just what was on the pitch.
Yeah, I think it was just too big a job for him, and his style of play just wasn't ever really going to go down, well with the fans. Yeah.
And then, of course, you had Antonio Conte come in. So what were your feelings on that? And kind of, because it was quite a roller coaster start, wasn't it? It was sort of the best team in the world one week, and then you lose to Burnley, and he's saying he's going to quit, and you've got the worst players.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it's been boring under Conte. I mean, when he first came in, obviously just massive excitement because of who he is, what he's done, his reputation in the game.
Yeah.
But then also, almost trepidation of, all right, well, when are we going to ruin him? When are we going to Tottenham him? With his press conferences being so all over the place, it was a case of is he just going to quit in January? And we're on another manager search, but fortunately he's stuck with it, and you never really know. I don't think anyone would know apart from him how much of those press conferences were bluster and calls, unspoken messages to the board and to
he likes to play. He likes to play that way, similar to kind of Mourinho in a way. I mean, we're jumping massively ahead here, but for example, Tottenham just signed Jed Spence, a very highly rated wing back from the Championship, and all I've seen of interviews, he's just like, this was a club signing. They decided to sign this player. They wanted this player. You're like, oh, okay, mate. Like, did you not get enough toys to play with, and you're gonna start throwing that shade? I had an interesting conspiracy theory that I'd like to share. You can comment on it or not, but when obviously in the summer you were linked with Conte and Pochettino coming back and lots of big names, and I heard a bit of a conspiracy that Paratici basically told Conte not to come because Daniel Levy is such a hard bargainer, and he was having quite a hard time convincing of his style and being given kind of the keys to the kingdom. And the rumour I heard was that he told Conte not to come because he kind of figured Nuno would be bad. And then when Paratici convinces Conte to come in the season, like he did, Levy will have complete faith in him, in Conte, and then they would basically get the keys to the kingdom and control of the team and the squad. I mean, it's just. I mean, look,
it's entirely plausible, but
it's not Rebecca Vardy, but he is famously Levy, the best negotiator, the toughest negotiator, as Pep Guardiola said. But drop that one in there. But anyway, in terms of performances, successful. 56 points in 28 games and 60 goals scored. third expected, third deserved. Do you see that kind of carrying on this year? And what how do you see Tottenham transitioning, as it were, from what we saw under Conte and him coming in mid-season, of course, to the pre-season now, and what your kind of expectations are going forward?
Well, I think that having a pre-season under him is crucial. You want as much time as possible, and having seen some of the training videos of the workouts he's putting them through,
oh boy,
the players are maybe not agreeing.
There's a lot of vomiting. It seems to be going on.
Yeah, but that can't be understated. What the pre-season will do for the team, and especially with bedding in a number of new signings. The expectations have to be really high. I don't see, the teams that we were scrambling to get past at the end of last season to get to fourth in as least arrogant way as I can possibly put it. Like, I don't see them getting above us this year. Yeah. But assuming we carry on in the same trajectory. Yeah. So the target then has to be Chelsea, and this is where my expectations kind of dull down a little bit. I think there's been a lot of chat of, Tottenham are the third best team in the country since Conte took over. They've made all these signings. They're definitely getting third. And I just want to pour a little bit of water on that. And I think it's I would absolutely settle for another top four finish. If it's third, wonderful.
I'd definitely say finishing above Chelsea would be kind of the cherry on top. I think we all kind of figure that City and Liverpool are kind of a pair in their own that no one's necessarily going to usurp. But I think what you said is right, because I think all of the teams around that area have improved. I think Tottenham have, Arsenal have, Chelsea have, Man United have, maybe by virtue of the fact they couldn't get worse. But I think that, just going by the stats of last season, you were ahead of them anyway. So naturally, if you do all progress at a similar rate, you're just going to stay above and forge a bit of a difference.
United are the wild card because of Ten Hag and like I say, they've been working from such a low base that
and such a low bar of expectation.
Yeah, exactly. So they could just kind of hit the ground running under him and see a resurgence, but. We have to be kind of targeting fourth or third, but with the obvious caveat that this is Tottenham, and if we can find a way to mess it up, we will try our hardest.
I see, through doing this, and maybe this is finally me seeing Oscar's side, but obviously speaking to all English people, I see that we're just all focused so much on the negative and tempering expectations. Let's talk side-ins as well to kind of see.
Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited.
You should. You've got a lot to be excited about. Let's talk side-ins. We mentioned Jed Spence before. You've picked up Ivan Perisic from Inter, who obviously Conte has worked with before, and he's been incredibly effective. Clement Longley on loan. Fraser Forster, which I think is fine. And then you've got Yves Bissouma and Richarlison come in. I can't, in terms of ability and stuff on the pitch, I can't really see fairer than that for improving anywhere. Are there any of those you're not necessarily keen on, or any other areas you think would be good to get improvements?
No, certainly very happy with all of those people coming in. There's been, I think Longley is, good cover. I don't think he won't be a starter, but he's good cover for probably Davis. I thought they might get another centre half as well, but I'm okay that they didn't. I thought there'd be kind of a good an upgrade to Sanchez or Rodon coming in, but I'm okay with that. And then I suppose the other position which has been kind of touted a little bit is kind of an attacking midfielder, like a creative sort of player. There were the rumours with Eriksen, and he obviously ended up at United. There's been rumours recently about James Maddison.
Yeah.
which I think would be a great signing.
I think it is really good.
But I don't really see where he fits in. But that'd be a good addition to unlocking teams when it's when they're sitting deep and you've got the low block.
Yeah, I think we've seen. I mean, if you think about the fact that we're still in the mid to late July, as it were, a lot of teams have made a lot of moves in terms of the 5 subs coming in. I mean, you have approximately 14 wing backs at the minute and fullbacks. But the Leicester one is interesting because I'm pretty sure they're still the only team that haven't signed a single player. And stuff that I've seen is that they have to sell to buy, which... Yeah,
it seems like a lot of their squad are up for,
Tielemans, Maddison. And so, I can see Maddison, but you're right. Conte having such a specific style, you do wonder where he would fit in at that, or if he's just going to convert everyone to wing-backs.
I can see Maddison at left wing-back. That could work.
Under Antonio Conte, sure, I wouldn't doubt anyone.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is obviously at the minute, this is according to Transfermarkt, you've bought in £91 million worth of players. You had 150 million apparently that was made available. Now I don't know what that was constituting, whether that included wages as well. You've ditched Bergwijn to Ajax, and I imagine Ndombele, Lo Celso. Do you think there's any more players that are probably going to get sold as well that will help you kind of improve?
Yeah, I think Lo Celso is close to a deal with Villarreal. I think they're just kind of meeting in the middle on the valuations. I think they offered something like 12 to 15, and we wanted like 18 to 20. So I think that's just a case of
time.
Just that'd be meet in the middle somewhere. And Ndombele I've not heard much about, which is disappointing.
You're not a fan, are you? No.
Well, I just think experiment gone wrong. Let's get rid of him and get a wage bill off the books. But I haven't seen much about potential suitors. So yeah, we'll see. And then I still think one of the centre backs could go. I think Sanchez or Rodon could still go. Yeah. But that is probably dependent on another one coming in.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've also seen stuff like Reguilon, Tanganga, like you said, Rodon apparently going to go.
Hopefully, Tanganga I think has been linked with move to Milan, which could work. And hopefully Reguilon goes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got enough in that position, haven't you? I don't think we could move on from this. I mean, without maybe a quick discussion on Harry Kane. What do you see? Now, I'm not going to, it's clear what we've said, potentially on financial now. Tottenham are now a completely different beast from when we spoke about this before and said about when we thought, as a podcast anyway, not necessarily yourself, that perhaps Tottenham were at their last chance to cash in on him. Where do you kind of see Kane? I mean, are you worried with Lewandowski moving on, potentially Bayern coming in? Or do you see Kane now getting another contract? Or what do you kind of foresee there? Because it's kind of a big thing. Because Son's re-signed, didn't he, last year and got a few more years. But now it's kind of a big element that potentially you could agree a deal for free next year.
Yeah, I don't see a world in where they're not trying to talk to him about a new deal. Although there hasn't been much talk about that, what I've seen. I don't really see the Bayern move as a thing. I mean, it's a possibility, of course, but I think his eyes are set firmly on Shearer's target.
Right. Okay.
And I think the only reason he would go there would be to win, easily win a few charity shields. Sorry, the Bundesliga out there. So yeah,
you coughed over the wrong part there, Jeff. You got.
I mean, yeah, I know. He's made it very clear that he wants to win trophies, and that's fine. I don't think Bayern is a place he would do it. And like you say, I think because of the state of the club now, I think that was his big concern last season. Obviously there was the interest from City and that not be a bad move for him, but the draw for that was the competitiveness and the trophies. And I think given what given what we've put into the market and the state of the team and the manager and the feeling around the club.
I think that's completely fair. I mean, let's go to perhaps we've kind of touched on it a bit of a prediction of how you think the season's going to go in terms of I guess domestic and maybe cup competitions as well. Personally, in my predictor league at the minute, I've got Tottenham third. I haven't told Oscar that. Oh no, I did send it to Oscar yesterday. He has not replied, having them finish above Chelsea. But where do you kind of see or envision Tottenham finishing, and then how getting to what stages of various cup competitions?
Like I say, I think top four has to be the target. I haven't done my predictor league yet. I will be shocked if I don't have them in either third or fourth.
Yep.
To be decided. But I think the Cups is an interesting one because, in my mind, certainly with the size of the squad now, we should absolutely be targeting the Cups. Because, like we said earlier, City and Liverpool are playing a different game. They're doing their own thing, 15 points above everyone else. But the domestic cups are there for the taking. It baffles me why most of the mid-table teams who are safe from relegation, or know they will be safe from relegation, but know they're going to finish somewhere between 9th and 15th, then put out weakened teams in the cup. It baffles me. It's like, why are you playing them?
Yeah, I think it's definitely underrated. I mean, as much as you do sometimes, because obviously I've had Palace now as we've gradually transitioned over the years, right? So, I always hark on about it, but it's like the closest analogue and the thing I know the most is like there was the element of, right, we don't need the cup competitions for extra fixtures. Let's just get thing. But then when you're in them and you get far, the emotional boost, even as a fan, is so much that you think that's got to apply to the players as well. And like you said, if Kane wants to win trophies, and all these players obviously want to win trophies, Conte wants to win trophies, realistically targeting the Premier League at this point is such a slim chance. It's ridiculous. There's so much would have to go right. But the cups, Tottenham need to go all out because you want to get that monkey off your back of, I mean, how many years has it been now since a trophy?
14.
14. Yeah. For a team like Tottenham, you they want to be winning something, There's not a pre-season Audi Cup, of course. You're not Arsenal.
Exactly, and things like I don't know what the League Cup's called anymore. Is it just the League Cup now?
Carabao! Come on.
Yeah, there we go. But with that, it's only unless you get a sticky draw in one of the rounds, it's a pretty easy route to the semi-finals typically. So it's like, well, why wouldn't you, aim to at least try and get a trophy in the cabinet?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying Tottenham to win the cups, finish fourth in the league, Champions League. Where do you think round of 16, quarterfinals?
I think quarterfinals would be exceptional. Round of 16. Yeah, I think. Obviously you've got to aim to get out of the group stages, and then once you're into the knockouts, anyone can win it, as we almost proved a couple of years ago.
Oh God, that final though, fuck me. That was bad. Ajax was good though, so you had that.
Yeah, we'll always have Ajax.
We'll always have Lucas Moura in Ajax.
But yeah, I think if we got to the quarters, amazing. That'd be good.
Okay, then. So, to kind of round this off, you are obviously FPL Shagger. That's well known throughout the community of fantasy Premier League players. What do you kind of see? How do you see Tottenham players? Do you normally try to avoid your own team? Are you really kind of gung ho and adamant on them? And are there any players you think we should probably target or get in?
I think historically, I kind of tend to go one of two ways. I'll avoid them for a long time, but then once I get one of them, I tend to stick with them. But then typically, it's usually Kane or Son, and you stick with them because they score most weeks.
Because they're bloody great.
That's not really a Tottenham thing, I suppose. But I'm usually wary of being too hot on them. But I can definitely see myself starting the season with Kane, with the potential switch to Haaland on the cards. I think Son is a tricky one just because of the price rise.
Oh, it's such a shame. He's been so, we had this conversation, he's been so disrespected, I guess, in terms of price for, I'd say, the last 2 seasons, starting at 9 and then 10 and getting 228 and 258 points. And now, he's 12. And it's so hard to, justify him over a Salah, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I think the question, for a lot of people, and I include myself in this, it's Salah +1 if you're going for 2 premiums. And it's whether you go for one of the strikers or whether you go for Son or KDB. I mean, having seen clips and highlights and reports from pre-season, he's sharp. He's can just left off, carried on where he left off from last season.
Is that Son, you mean, sorry?
Son, yeah. He looks very, very sharp. So anyone that picks him from the start, absolutely no qualms whatsoever. Even over Kane or Haaland, I'd be absolutely fine with that.
Big time.
I don't think I will just because I want the flex of being able to move around the premium strikers. But he's a great pick. Elsewhere, I mean, the centre backs, you could easily pick them up. They're all 5 million. They're all going to pick up, a few clean sheets. They're probably not going to get many attacking returns, but they're probably they're probably a reasonably cheap, safe way in.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I will, but they're there. Central midfield is a no-go area because you don't know who's going to play. I mean, I have no idea at this point. You've got Højbjerg, Bissouma, Bentancur and Skip, and those 4 could just rotate every game, and and that would be fine from a fan perspective. But none of them are going to be a threat to FPL anyway. And so then it's the wing backs.
I guess that's the key one because I at the back end of last season I was very hot on Sessegnon getting a chance and getting to actually play, and then again you signed about 5 wing backs.
Well, I don't think Reguilon will feature. He didn't go on the pre-season tour. It's quite obvious that he's not in the plans because he's a headless chicken. Emerson Royale could still be sold, but if he's not, I think he's pretty low down in that pecking order. And with Spence being a inverted quotes club signing and having just joined, I don't think he's going to start. So I think on the right hand side, unless he does continue with this Lucas Moura conversion. Oh God,
that's like his big bloody homes under the hammer conversion property project, isn't it?
He loves it. But assuming that doesn't happen, the right wing back slot I think is Doherty's to lose.
Okay.
So I think of the wing backs, he's the best route in to start the season. Because on the left hand side, everyone's high on Perisic, and I totally get it because he's been a very, very good player for a very long time, and he's done it under Conte, and he's done it, recently. But and in a way, there's no reason not to start with him. The games are spaced out at the beginning of the season, so there's no worry about him being tired out. But Cesc has been playing really well, and he will get his chances. So I think that's a lot riskier over that side. Of the wing backs, I think Doherty is the one to go for.
There we go. Excellent.
Well, the other one we didn't mention is Kulusevski.
Of course.
Because
bloody hell, forgot about him.
I think he's a great pick. He's obviously lumped in with a load of great 8 mil options. So it's almost a case of pick the one or 2 that you're going to go with. But I don't think Richarlison has come in to replace him by any stretch. I think Richarlison will get minutes across that front line
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But not
you know,
in his position.
You think for years with Kane, I mean, you know, the last 2 seasons, in terms of their normal numbers, they've been very lucky with not having injuries, you know, and now with the amount of fixtures, Richarlison feels like someone who, if he was in for Kane, you'd be very happy with still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not so
absolutely.
much of a drop off for like a Vincent Janssen, for example. Like, he's someone who he can be a second to Kane without just being second to Kane and only filling that position.
Yeah, exactly. So Kulusevski's on my mind. I think if I ended up going with Haaland, for example, I may well get Kulusevski because I want a piece of that Tottenham attack versus Southampton in the opening game.
Ooh, yeah, nummy num.
There's a few options.
Plenty of options, yeah. Exciting times at Tottenham. I mean, they ended the season so attacking. You were scoring goals for absolute fun. And like I said, you were the 3rd top scoring team in the league. I mean, Liverpool only scored 5 goals more than you across the Conte stretch, which is really saying something. There we have it. Jeff, it's been an absolute bloody pleasure to talk to you, mate.
As always, mate. As always, very, very lovely to be on and to chat with you.
You are more than welcome, sir. We'll get you on for your hat-trick in the near future. Thank you all for listening as well and joining us on these pre-season pods. There's still plenty more to come. I think I've got about another 10 that I've still got to record. Poor little Ian is sweating away in some little editing room to get this sorted, but he kind of loves it in his own way.
And it's where he belongs.
It's where he belongs, the little producer gremlin. Thank you very much. You can find us on Twitter at Miles Offside Pod. Join us on Patreon. Join us on the Slack. Come talk to Jeff. If you thought his takes were bad, come on, tell him for free. The shit. And you can find him on Twitter at FPL Shaka. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. You take care. Bye.